How's it going, everybody? Driver53 here, and today we are going to be taking a look at how to get the perfect yield for your crops. I've done a bunch of testing on this field right here, and I was able to determine exactly what order you need to do all the different processes and use all the different pieces of equipment to be able to get the max yield out of your crops. I've already released a couple videos showing you what to do in a couple instances here, but today we're going to go through all of the different ones. And if you want to stay up to date on any of my testing or tutorial videos, make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell too. All right, let's jump into it. Throughout this video, I'm going to show you a spreadsheet that I put together. The crop was corn, and you can see my yield and the percentage of the yield that I got. So the first line here you can see is nothing done to the field. What this means is that I had no fertilizer on the field at all. I also had weeds turned on. I needed the field to be plowed, and we needed lime applied. So it's the absolute worst condition field that you can have and still get your entire crop. Now, this doesn't take into account any crop destruction or anything like that that comes from, driving over the crop or missing some spots in the field. So as you can see, the yield was 2,945. So for the rest of this video, I'm going to refer to this as 100% yield. The next three items that I wanted to test were things that you can actually turn off in the menu. That's going to be weeds, lime, and plowing. The first one that we tested was weeds. So what I did is I used a herbicide to get rid of my weeds, and I did this directly after putting the crops in the ground. And I'm going to link a video up above showing exactly what happens if you wait till your crops start growing to your yield. Believe me, it's important that you do it directly after seeding, and go check out that video and you'll understand why. And as you can see here, the yield was 3,534, and that gets you up to 120% of your crop potential. The next thing that I wanted to do here was lime. So what we did is we left everything else on. I had weeds on and I had plowing on, and we just put lime down on the field. And as you can see, the yield was 3,387. So that got me up to 115% of my potential yield. And the last of the items that you can turn off in your menu is plowing. So as you can see here, I had 3,387 again. So that means that it was 115% of your potential yield. So then I decided, well, what if I throw all of them together? If I've got 120% and I've got a 15% and a 15%, well, that should give me 150%. So what I did, I came through, I removed all my weeds, I put lime down, and I plowed the field. But I didn't do them in that order, but those are the things that we did do. And as you can see, the yield is 4,417, and that confirmed 150% potential yield. So from here on out in the testing, what I did is I turned off weeds, lime, and plowing in the menu because it was just going to be too many steps for me to try and do through my testing. I wanted to get those out of the way, test them. So now for everything else, we have those turned off. And the first thing that I wanted to look at was the mulcher. I've heard that if you mulch your crops directly after your harvest, then you're going to get a little bit of an increase. So we went ahead and did that. And as you can see right here, the yield was 4,491. That gave me a 2.5% increase over everything else that I had just tested. So it's 152.5% on my potential yield. So after the good results from the mulcher, I wanted to try out the roller. And on my first test, what I did is I actually did the roller before the seeding just to see what that would do, and I didn't get any increase at all to my yield. So then I ran the roller after my seeding on the next test, and as you can see, I got 4,491 on my yield. So once again, I got a 2.5% increase using the roller after I put seeds in the ground. So you combine those together and that's going to be 5%. I was like, all right, awesome. So let's try some fertilizer. After I put the seeds in the ground, I went ahead and ran one pass of the fertilizer. And you can see right here that my yield was 5,080 liters. And you can see that my potential yield now goes up to 172.5. Now this is not including the mulching or the rolling. This is just fertilizing by itself. So after I got 22.5 on that, I was like, hey, let's try out 2 stages of fertilizer. So I went ahead and ran the next test where I did 2 stages of fertilizer on the crops. And as you can see, the yield was 5,743. So that brought me up to 195% of my potential yield. That's huge. That's 45% just by itself by having the fertilizer. So then I was like, okay, well, now I want to go ahead and run the mulcher with the fertilizer just to confirm that that 2.5 and the 45% actually add up together. And that's what we did. And as you can see, the yield is 5,816, which confirms that the potential yield is 197.5. So then I went ahead and ran the 2 stages of fertilizer and the roller, and I got the exact same result. 5,816 was my yield, and that's 197.5 on the potential yield. So I was like, awesome. Now let's throw everything together. All right, so we ran the mulcher, we ran the roller, and we had 2 stages of fertilizer. My yield came out to 5,890. And that is exactly 200% potential yield for this crop. So as you can see, 100% is 2,945, and the 200% is 5,890. So the order that you want to do all of these processes in, and the percentage that you're going to get from that is going to be, you want to mulch, and that's going to give you 2.5%. And then you're going to want to put down your lime, and that's going to give you 15%. And then you're going to want to put down your first stage of fertilizer. That's going to give you 22.5%. Then you're going to want to plow or cultivate. That's going to give you another 15%. Then you're going to put your seeds in the ground, and that's going to be with a seeder or a planter, and that's not going to give you anything unless you have one that already has built-in fertilizer, and then you're going to get your second fertilizer stage at that time. After you put your seeds in the ground, you're going to want to hit it with a roller, and that's going to give you another 2.5%. Then this is where you would come back in with your second fertilizer pass. If you didn't do it at time of seeding, that's going to give you another 22.5%. And then last, you're going to want to spray your herbicide before any crops come up out of the ground. And that's going to give your last 20% to equal 100%. Now, if you include this 100% with your original 100% that you're going to have from your crops without having anything done to the field, that's going to give you a total of 200%. Now, this process right here only applies if you're using a regular seeder or planter. If you're using a direct drill, stay tuned. It's a little bit different. After I got done testing a regular seeder or planter, I thought, well, what about a direct drill? I want to make sure I know that process also, because I know a lot of players really enjoy the direct drills, as do I, because it saves some steps. You don't have to cultivate the field, and you can get right back into planting your crops to be able to harvest quicker. So I set up my field, and I didn't have weeds or lime or plowing needed. All those were already taken care of, so I had the 50% boost already. And then I used the direct drill to be able to plant corn on this exact same field that we did all the other testing on. And when I got done harvesting, I looked at the results, and I was like, there is no way. What is going on here? So as you can see right here, we got a yield of 5,154. And if you add that up, that's 175%. So somehow I got this additional 25% on the yield. And I was like, how in the world did this happen? Well, I was like, first off, since I'm not having to mulch the field, the direct drill probably takes care of the mulching for me. Okay, so that's 2.5%, but where did the other 22.5% come from? And apparently the way that base game is right now, we're only about 3 weeks after launch that you get an additional fertilizer stage when you're using a direct drill. I didn't have anything on the ground. I had harvested everything. We went in and it was a completely harvested field, and I did this multiple times on multiple crops even because I didn't believe it here on corn. I wanted to see if it was this way also. We tested it on sunflower seeds and we tested it on canola, and they all did the exact same thing. If you use a direct drill, it takes care of one stage of fertilizer for you, and it takes care of your mulching pass, so you no longer have to do that. So the next thing I tested was I wanted to do the direct drill and a roller. So we planted everything, and then I came back with the roller after it. And as you can see, the yield is 5,227. It did go up, and it went up by 2.5%. So I was like, all right, that's perfect. So after those results, I wanted to test out this mulching theory again. And what I did is I mulched the entire field, and then I hit it with a direct drill. And as you can see, the yield was 5,073. And that's even less than whenever I had just the direct drill by itself. I'm like, how did this happen? Because that's only 172.3% now. It's such a weird number. Well, there's something going on with like the fertilizer state, and it makes it really awkward. It doesn't do the whole field, so you get a reduced yield. And I looked at it at canola, and I did it on sunflowers. They were within about 0.4% on those, so it wasn't exactly the same thing. It just kind of depended on what the pattern was. I did this a couple different times on corn, and I got 172.3 and then 172.4, and then I had like 172.6 on another one. So I don't know exactly why it's doing it, but that's the way base game is right now. So do not mulch your field if you are going to use a direct drill. And then lastly, I wanted to check everything. So we ran the direct drill, I ran a roller, and we did 2 stages of fertilizer. And as you can see, the yield was 5,890, which is the exact same as whenever we were using the regular planter by itself that was not a direct drill, and we got 200% potential yield. The process for whenever you want to use a direct drill is going to be use that direct drill. It's going to give you 25%, and then you're going to use your roller, which is going to give you another 2.5%. And then you're going to put down your second stage of fertilizer, which is going to give you another 22.5%. All of these added together are another 50%. Now that is on top of your weeds, your lime, and your plowing. What I would do first is after your harvest, I would go ahead and put lime on your field, and then I would plow that thing under. And if you don't need one or the other, just, do whichever of those that you need. But if you're going to do both at the same time, I would do lime and then plowing, and then I'd put your direct drill in the ground. Go ahead and get that going. I would do your roller after that, then your second stage of fertilizer, and then I would hit it with your herbicide. And that's going to give you your absolute best yield that you can get on these, and it's going to be the most efficient process. So let me know down in the comments below, are you guys going to use the direct drill? Are you going to do it using a regular seeder or planter? And that's going to be it for today, everybody. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and give me a thumbs up if you would. And if you want to stay up to date on all my future testing or tutorial videos, consider hitting that subscribe button. And if you do, hit the notification bell too. Have a great day, night, evening, everybody. Until next time, this is Driver 53, signing off.